Back again on cricket.com's Monday Night Live platform, podcast, whatever you want to call it. We're 5 away from the big 100 episodes. So that means episode 95 tonight. My name is Ravi Ashwin. And as you can see, good to see Akshay and Nikhil. Akshay is back in Bangalore. Breaking news after his 6-month sojourn. Felt like 6 years, to be fair. Good to see the boy back to his home. Akshay, we'll start there. How are you? Beaming smile. That's the way you should start a week. That's the way we should start a month, bro. Well done.
Yeah, 100%. Great way to start the month. What's not very great is, of course, the Bangalore rain. It was pouring. I don't know if you guys saw, just 30 minutes ago, it was absolutely pouring and I completely drenched myself. But yeah, all in all, good to be back home. Good to see the fam. Good to get used to the warmth, the good old warmth that India provides, because I had been suffering from that even the last couple of months. But yeah, excited to catch up with all of you guys. And Avnish, Friday raat ko please cricket. We will do it.
Yes, because I just got Akshay before the show, asked him, listen, are you game to play pickleball first? And then he said yes to that. So then Friday, I think I've got myself into 2 new gangs, very different, but very competitive. And obviously, I stay north-ish part of Bangalore. So if you guys know your match day cricket, you'd see me there. Nikhil, coming to you, how's your weekend been? Again, a lot of cricket. What have you consumed the most, my friend?
Yeah, a bit of 100 and a bit of other T20 cricket that is happening. Good to see some very good Indian cricket stories come out in the recent 1 week, and that is just a good time. That it's very rare to have such a break, and in such a break, when you come across people putting up such special performances, whether it is 200 or 133 for a youngster who's almost written off online, which is not a good thing to do, but always good to catch up with local cricket in that sense.
That is true. And speaking of which, we have a banging guest this Monday Night Live podcast, which we'll get on in a bit. Obviously, the thumbnail gives it away. The title of this podcast also tells you who it is. And he's fresh at the back of winning the Ranji Trophy for the Bengaluru Dragons. So it'll be interesting to pick his mind about all kinds of things, talking Shreyas Gopal. We're also going to be talking about the news like Nick's kind of just hinted upon. There's so much has gone on, whether it's Rahul Dravid and his removal from the RR, or Ravichandran Ashwin trying to aspire to become a player come coach, something that Dinesh Karthik did in the SA20. But is that the way forward? Is that setting precedent? That's going to be a topic of discussion in the first 20 minutes. Always good to see the comments, Akshay and Nix, and we'll take a few right now. Viva Admiral saying, always remember Shreyas for his googlies against RCB. We'll pick his mind about that. What has been Shreyas' favorite IPL wicket for him personally? We'll obviously have a few questions dished out of the guest at the end before he says goodbye. And Chris Bell, thanks for giving us a comment. I think Ashwin will play the MLC and the ILT20. It'll be interesting to see what others do. We saw DK do it too in the SA20, and I feel Ashwin has decided well here. Look, get your thoughts in, and whether you guys are fans of the channel. Noodle Hacks clearly is one, saying finally Akshay is back in Bangalore. Been so long since that plain boring wall. And Santosh Udupa, big stories from last week must be off the field announcements. That's true. Santosh must be reveling in the fact that his Liverpool got a 1-0 win against Arsenal. Some sublime free kick by Sobers Loy, by the way. And that's Akshay's new club.
Avnish, I've also sort of rechristened myself as a Liverpool fan, like I said a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, since my Anfield visit, I've decided Liverpool is the other side in dead. So it's Liverpool, it's RCB. And I have a soft corner for McLaren, actually, not even Ferrari. I don't want to lie about that. But yeah, Liverpool and RCB. So, Santosh, you've got another fellow supporter there.
Another fucking scouser, innit? Anyway, we'll move on, and football chat can wait. But if you guys, of course, have any personal questions for us, we'll answer in the 12th man segment. Akshay, again, KL to KKR trade started. Is that true? What about new DC captain rumors? We'll take all of that and much more. I don't know if you're taking the piss or not, but we will find out. Avnish, hope you're not grim from last week. I know someone would bring that up in terms of the Grimsby defeat of United. But here we are to talk cricket. And I'll give the first ball to Nix in this Monday Night Live. Nix, your first reaction to what Ashwin did. Fair enough. He, of course, retired from international cricket, then the IPL. Now he wants to, of course, get involved with the ILT20. He's been speaking to the owners there. The MLC is not too far away either. Do you think it's a good move from Ravichandran Ashwin, the scientist?
Yeah, why not? I think that's just the way to go. And it's good that he's the one who's leading the way there. Because sometimes you need people like him to take up that cause and say that, it's okay. And again, we have to realize he's not 21 or 22, and then he's doing this, and then people will say, he's, leading a carry packer kind of thing. Normal a guy is retired from international cricket. He is trying to make the most of what he can. Uh, Very interesting and surprising move, in my opinion, to retire from IPL in the first place, because I think he had enough to offer. Again, it's a 10-team league, so I felt there was enough to offer. Maybe in an 8-1 where you will have the best always playing, so then it wasn't a concern. But let's see how he goes about it, because I genuinely felt that maybe this is more a emotional call eventually, in a nutshell, that he wants to end at Chennai and not end somewhere else, because he could have simply ended after playing one more season, because he's going to play. So let's see how he has thought that through.
No, I like that summation. And my question to Akshay was probably backtracking a little bit, because we decided to, of course, have RCB and Ashwin involved. We made a reel out of it and all of that. But since then, the news has moved on. Clearly, Akshay, the fact that he's decided enough to do with the IPL, at least in his playing career, and maybe he'll come back one day to grace the great league again in a coaching capacity. Who knows? But were you taken aback, the fact that, look, he's done this IPL retirement, but he still has so much to offer, and that's the second innings of his?
Oh, definitely. I mean, taken aback is probably too strong an emotion. I was a tad bit surprised because, like Nikhil Bhai said, he definitely had a lot more to offer in IPL. I don't think it would have ever been a case of, teams not wanting him or him risking potentially getting unsold or something should CSK let go of him. So that was never a question as such. I guess, when it comes to Ashwin, he's always been, that trailblazer sort of a player. He's always been the one sort of doing things or charting unknown territories. So good on him for trying something new over here. Firstly, and secondly, I also think he's someone who's always liked to challenge himself. Be it the way he's gone about his bowling, gone about his batting, he's always been someone who's wanted to evolve and improve as a cricketer. And I don't think he would get any better or any more challenging a proposition than going outside, putting yourself out there, playing these overseas leagues, something hardly any other Indian has done. So I also think it's a bit of that where he wants to explore this side of cricket too, because this is pretty much going to be the norm going forward. And yeah, I actually don't see Ashwin playing just one or two leagues. Sure, we've seen him register himself for just the T20 auction for now, but I see him playing a lot more leagues. I'm actually low-key hoping that one of the BBL sides also, draft him in, because there's also going to be that second round of drafts that'll happen in October. So fingers crossed, we'll of course see a lot more of Ash Sharma, and yeah, excited to see more Indian representation out there. And one more thing that I want to bring up over here, this is something I've mentioned off air as well. I think this is going to be a lot more common going forward, especially after the online gaming bill was passed, because this means that all of that funding that we'd seen come through the Indian cricket circuit will run dry, which means a lot of these Indian cricketers will then start looking at other ways of earning money. And now, like Ashwin himself, by the way, was one of Dream 11's brand ambassadors. And that's it. I mean, you've got to understand there's also a practical side to it. So now players will start realizing IPL alone probably might not be enough for them in terms of ensuring their financial security. They'd much rather play 3 or 4 leagues outside. They'll also get the experience of visiting these countries, playing in new conditions, and on top of that, probably make an extra buck or two. So I see a lot more Indians, especially the ones who are either in the fringe or probably are well past their prime, wherein they know that what, an India cap is definitely not for the taking, and probably IPL teams aren't looking at them just as keenly as before. So don't be surprised in a couple of years' time, maybe someone like Deepak Chahar or Yuzvendra Chahar, we might even see them sort of plying their trade elsewhere.
Yeah, fascinating times ahead. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there in terms of how players will start looking at it. Because one thing that you probably also were hinting upon is more game time once you throw an Indian cricketer and a CPL or SA20 or a BBL or an ILT20, they're automatic starters. So that's there as well. So they don't have to warm the benches by pocketing millions in the other leagues. Lots of comments coming through. Guys, we want to know what you guys think about this Ashwin sort of trailblazing move, if I can call it that. I know we've seen Robin Uthappa technically be part of the ILT20. Amity Raju played, and he was probably the only first Indian. And since then, no one has really kind of penetrated that. Then you see the other side of it, where you see the Indian-born cricketers plying their trade. Obviously, nothing in terms of Indian domestic cricket, but a name which comes to mind is Nikhil Chaudhary, who plays for, who's it, Hobart Hurricanes down under for the BBL. So players like that, there is, of course, different avenues to get into the game, but there's so many players, like Akshay just took two names, Chahal and Chahar. They could literally kind of go into the CPL for the last 2 years of their career and then probably pocketed a lot of money. I'm looking at Ashwin's age right now, guys. He's 38. He turns 39, funnily enough, in 16 days. And we're going to do a best 11 later in this podcast of cricketers who were born in September. So join us for that. There's Gale, there's Ashwin. You guys can tell me in the comments who can make a best 11 out of that. But Nikhil, coming to you then. We saw what DK did, right, with SA20 and doing that. Do you think Ashwin will do the same thing for ILT20? And how many players will now start looking at that much more, given what Akshay just said right now with the online gaming thing and the money aspect into the game?
Yeah, I think it is something that is going to be very fascinating in terms of how many players who don't get these opportunities. And again, it's very important for them to get those opportunities when they still have something in them to offer, because we've seen that enough about Indian market itself. We usually speak about people like Paul Sterling and them not getting a chance in the IPL. But after this kind of thing, I think a lot of fringe Indian players in itself will also want to feel, okay, do we still wait, or do we go down the route that, okay, there isn't much in terms of domestic opportunities that we have? Do we have a chance to go outside? And I don't think it's going to be a straightforward conversation because, as you said, an Ashwin can start. Maybe a Piyush Chawla may start. But who else? And I think that is where it is. The good thing is at least there is an opportunity for them to explore. So I think it's only a positive because a new door is being opened. So I'm looking forward to that. If somebody goes unsold, they might as well just pull the plug on their Indian IPL career and they say that, you know what, I could get a gig elsewhere. But now to me, the challenge is also elsewhere because we still haven't come through the terms of where that money is going to come from. We are going to see what is going to happen in the 100. There is an SA20 auction that is going to happen. So there are rumors about MLC getting to a tough because of the US cricket thing. So it's not going to be an easy ride even away from cricket. So away from IPL cricket. So I think this is the time where we just have to wait and see what is going to transpire.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, and I feel that plenty of stories that we can look into and see how it's going to unravel. And I keep thinking about it even from an Indian cricketer lens, Akshay. If you're probably playing the IPL for like 10, 12 years, and then naturally everyone has to retire. So you look at even cases like a Yusuf Pathan, who's so prominent in all these legend league games and stuff. It's not like there's a middle sort of layer where there is a scope for people like Ashwin or Chawla or DK to kind of go expose themselves to other T20 leagues. I think this will be the perfect time for Indian cricketers to test those waters because obviously the hue and cry of the world for the longest time has been like, why can't Indian players play in other leagues? And it becomes a whole financial sort of thing. But if certain cricketers want to hang up their boots early and be like, listen, we're not part of the BCCI ambit, we can do what we want, they'll probably go down that line. Now, for example, a Prithvi Shaw could actually factor in getting a CPL gig or could go somewhere else because I don't think he's, cutting it out in the Ranji scheme of things. I don't think he has any aspirations to play for India. Again, I could be wrong, but that's just my guess. What's your take?
See, can he do that? Of course he can, but there's so many factors, right? For someone like a Prithvi Shaw to consider, that means he's he's still, 24, 25, probably. He's 1997. So yeah, that makes him, 28 right now. He turns 28 this year. So he still has the prime ahead of him. I mean, has the prime of his career ahead of him. And now we've already heard the MCA chief sort of, go on record and say that he's already started working towards coming back on track and all of that. So I still think he must be harboring, ambitions of wanting to play for Team India yet. So players like them might still want to hold on to that ambition and try and play or represent their country. On the other hand, someone who's probably, which is why I took a name like a Deepak Chahar or a Yuzvendra Chahal, for whom in all likelihood coming back to Team India seems like a very steep climb. That's all I can say. I'm not going to say that they cannot make it. It's just that the competition is so much and they're already getting older and they're not very fit. So they would want to play as little cricket as possible while at the same time maximizing how much money they can make out of it. So that's where probably Prithvi Shaw, I mean, even then, if he all of a sudden just feels that, I'm just better off roaming around the world, playing for these different leagues, because you also need to understand there's a bit of that glamour quotient to attach to this. Sure, with Ashwin, that's not the case. Ashwin just wants to test himself. But another cricketer might just be attracted to the fact that, so every year, I now play a month in West Indies, a month in US, a month in Australia, a month in South Africa. What more do I need? So there is going to be all of these things. I mean, because at the end of the day, they're also human. They also want to just sort of lead their best lives possible. So that something like that might also, influence some of the younger players. If you guys remember 3-4 years ago, we saw a certain Will Speed announce his retirement from all formats just because he wanted to be an out and out freelancer. Sure, it's not worked out the way he might have intended to, but I do think that we're not too far away from a future where you see youngsters being very clear that, what, T20 cricket and franchise leagues is how I want to live my life, and that's how I'm going to be. So I don't think we're too far away, and who knows, Prithvi Shaw could potentially be one of the first ones to do that.
See, bro, I have just two questions for you here, right? Let's put ourselves in the shoes of, say, an Umesh Yadav and Ishant Sharma, who are obviously not the hottest stock in the market in terms of T20 cricket. They probably won't play for India again. Can't they just go up to the BCCI and be like, listen, we're retiring from all formats internationally, but we feel that we want to contribute to other leagues in the world? Is that a plausible option, or is that again saying, listen, you're asking the BCCI here? My question is, are players going to be crossing a line of sorts if they actually just choose to do this for their own personal gains?
Absolutely not. Once you've announced your retirement, that's it. So BCCI is no longer an employer. But that's where, like, someone like an Ishant Sharma or Umesh Yadav or Varun Aaron, even if you want to sort of just throw him in the same bracket. The thing with these guys is we also need to understand that they have a fully set up base over here in India. Varun Aaron's established, like, he's got a family, he's got everything going around in Bangalore. Ishant Sharma settled in Delhi. Umesh Yadav is settled in Mumbai, which means you're talking about them either letting go of or staying away from their family or taking their family with them. So there are all of these things. With Robin Uthappa, for those who talk about how Robin Uthappa played the ILT20, one of the biggest reasons was the fact that he relocated to Dubai. So basically, he was playing in Dubai. So that's what made it that much more easier for him to play that league. It's not like he played the SA20 or the BBL. He was very clear because he was in Dubai, he might as well play that league. So there are things like that as well that will pay role. Ishant Sharma might be like, dude, I've busted my ass for the last 12 years. Now I want to just chill. I want to spend time with my family, spend time with my partner, and just, laze around and play whatever DPL or maybe the odd whatever game that comes my way. And I'm fine with it. I've earned enough. All of these things, like, with different cricketers, I'm pretty sure the priorities would be different. The way they look at life, the way they want to lead will be very different. So it's all very personal. We can only sit here and say, why this or why that? But at the end of the day, it's their call.
Next, do you think we'll actually see maybe a black swan like that emerge from Indian cricket? Like, again, I'll take the name of someone like Rahul Tewatia, right? He's going nowhere in his Indian career in the scheme of things. Obviously, he's a big sort of a domestic dude in his own scheme of things and been an IPL folklore. Does he just say, look, you fuck the IPL, even though it's the best league, I'm probably playing cameos at best and not getting opportunities. I'll play the CPL, play the BBL, I'll play the SA20, I'll start in all these teams, and I'll actually just be a nomadic T20 cricketer, just like a Wayne Parnell, an Andy Russell, or a Mohammad Ahmed. One Indian cricketer does this, Nix, I think he'll open up the whole gateway.
Just one thing before Nikhil Bhai says, should Rahul Tewatia say fuck the IPL, he would have at least earned one fan in Michael Holding. That's all I'm saying, but Baki Nikhil Bhai, you can continue.
Whoever, I mean, that ilk of player, like going nowhere, crossroads of his career, that kind of stuff. Next.
See, I'm not saying. I think we will see one such, or maybe multiple such options come through because, as I said, at this point of time, the key things are opportunities. And again, I still feel it might not be people who are starting because Rahul Tewatia is still starting every game in the IPL. He may not get the time to bat, but he's starting. And see, as much as we would want to be daredevils, it will only happen to people who are financially that stable. And you have to understand the risk that you run, that if you want to do something like this, there is no coming back. So you have to be very, very sure of, okay, if this does not work out, what do I do? And I think that's where the question comes through, that at which time of your career are you going to do it, and how well settled that you are, that if this thing does not work out for you, because you have to eventually realize, as we just mentioned a while back, it's not that everything is rosy outside. Just yesterday, Sam Hain was wasted batting at 8 for 10 rockets. The guy is an absolute talent. Tom Abel still better batter, batted higher in the order. He couldn't do much. Royce Rodley came and had to swing. He batted below David Willey. And these are big names. These are names who have done a lot of work in domestic cricket in itself. So it's not going to be a simple and an easy call. It'll have to come from a place of very sense of security that, okay, if this works, great, I can have a life after this and I can do so many things. But if it doesn't work, also I'm fine. So I think it'll have to come with some caveats, and I'm very interested to see who is the first, because I'm definitely sure it will happen, and the youngster might feel, "Okay, dude, anyways, I'm in the same boat here. Might as well be in the same boat there." But then you'll have to explore other options as well. So it's going to be grey, not just black and white.
Okay, we have one, rather, I have one more question for Akshay before we get the guest on. And there are a couple of comments coming through, which is great. Darshan adding to this chat saying, problem is that there's no guarantee for someone like Tavatia will start in the other leagues. Is an overseas name now. There's much stiffer competition for selection. It could be, of course, there's so many names to throw about and hypothetical scenarios for certain teams. Will they be allowed to do commentary, coaching, etc.? Then essentially, look, the way you play your cards after you retire, we've seen great examples of it. I like how Stuart Broad's got into the side of things post-retirement. He's with Sky. He's doing his own pod. He was the bowling coach for South Africa, or the consultant or whatever. So cricketers have plenty of options. But now Indian cricketers, if this kind of thing opens up with Ashwin, it'll be fascinating. If you like our podcast, smash a like, tell a friend. Lots of questions already. And we have a special guest waiting in the wings. In 3 minutes, he'll join us. Akshay, to you then. Final one, this player come coach bit, bro. It's not a real new sort of phenomenon in cricket. We've seen it with Ponting in the past. I think there will be instances going forward in the future as well. Do you think that adds even more value for someone like Ashwin going into an ILT20 in auction and then just not buying him for his services, but his consultancy bit as well? So do you think more Indian players or players will start looking at this option as a player come coach in the future to make merry?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think players look at it as an incentive or something unless there is also a monetary incentive attached with it. Baki, I mean, if DK is going there and DK knows that he's already coaching an RCB side or he will be a part of it, like, I don't think it makes a difference in how they look at the game or look at the sport if they're playing just, I mean, if they're playing it just as a player or as a player slash coach. It's more of a knowledge transfer thing. And Ashwin has always been the happiest when it comes to just, sort of talking to youngsters and probably even learning something from them and trying new things and teaching new things. So he's always been that sort of a person. So I mean, to be honest, I don't really look at it differently. As long as players are going outside, there will be knowledge transfer that's happening. It does not, I mean, just because the title coach is not associated with Ashwin does not mean he's not mentoring youngsters already with, say, a CSK or Dindigul Dragons. Now, maybe just with the designation being attached to it, it seems a lot more formal. Or else I'm pretty sure, like, hypothetically, let's say some side picks, some IT20 side picks Ashwin up and they just sign him as a player. Does not mean he won't be helping the youngsters there. And Ashwin is the last person to stay quiet. If he's there playing cricket with other people, he is going to be talking cricket 24/7, and others would be more than happy to learn a thing or two from him. So yeah, I mean, sure, it like Ash could be the next one, but like I said, even if there's no official title to it, I'm always going to assume that someone like an Ashwin will be mentoring players wherever he goes.
Yeah, he's just that kind of guy, and I really want to pick his mind someday. I think we have potentially a chance to interview him once we get our stuff sorted, which is a completely different chat. But yeah, I mean, just to close out this particular conversation, it just makes me think what players someone like a Manish Pandey, Ajinkya Rahane could do if they just say, you know what, thanks for the memories in cricket, but we are going overseas right now. Wherever they live, there might be a short stint to play 2 months in the Caribbean, come back, go do the same thing in South Africa, Australia. But you guys can let us know, of course. Ayush Kumar saying Ashwin for Sydney Sixers alongside Steve Smith and Babar Azam will be some sight to witness. Yeah, again, the attractability factor of these franchise leagues will go up if you start peppering Indian players into those squads for sure. Santosh Uruppa on a completely different note, celebrating the fact that Liverpool have finally signed a centre-back in Mark East, sort of belter for Palace, of course. Ayush Matre and Suryavanshi, these two some talents that we can serve Indian cricket for the long run. Indeed, let's see what happens with them. They're obviously going to be penciled in as IPL cricketers for the next 15, 20 years. And only time will tell if the BCCI ever in our lifetime allow Indian cricketers to play abroad. Make some noise about that in the comments if you guys are watching this show later on in the week. Right, it's time for me to message Shreyas because he said, can you call me? And I was like, bro, I'm doing a podcast for calling out loud. But we'll ask him a few things. Meanwhile, you guys can also tell me what you guys want to ask Shreyas. I will ask him on the live show for sure. Akshay, what do you have for Shreyas? Because did you see any of the KPL? Before he comes on, we can just be honest with ourselves. I didn't watch a single ball. Apart from highlights and fan codes, And those four sixes that lovely Sisodia hit of K. Gautam, moments like that. There was one howler of a decision that Mayank Agarwal got in one of the games. So bits like that. But anything else which caught your eye?
Unfortunately, fan code wasn't available in UK, so I wasn't able to watch any of the games. Just got some of the clips. Happy to know that Mangalore Dragons did win the tournament, and yeah, that was pretty much it. I did see this wrist spinner for Hubli Tigers. I'm forgetting his name, guys. Just remind me. I'm pretty sure, like some of you who've watched, there's this new wrist spinner who's coming through the ranks, and he's looked very, very, very exciting. So he's the name I'm looking forward to. Baki, I'll have to go through the scorecards probably because last year there were a few players I was excited to watch. I want to know what happened to Gautam Mishra from Mysore. I want to know what happened to Deepak Devadiga from Mysore once again. There was also Advait Shetty. There was Aditya Shetty. McNeil Lorona, apparently he's also done well, like Santosh mentions here. So I don't want to see what's happened. Yeah.
Okay, super. I think we have the guest of the night who's joined us, fresh off the, of course, win from the Maharaja T20 tournament, Karnataka, and we have obviously royalty in terms of Karnataka cricket as well. Let's get Balti, he's better known in friendlier circles on. Balti, how are you, Shreyas Gopal? Thank you so much for your time. A pleasure to have you on Monday Night Live. Where are you joining us from? And how happy are you after a stunning win, captaining your team with 17 wickets and all of that? Talk to me.
Hi everyone. Firstly, thanks for having me on. Well, I'm at home. I just got back. I was outside. I just got back home. Yeah, it's a very good tournament. So thanks for that. And yeah, it's still yet to sink in. If I could say that.
No, indeed. And this tournament, Shreyas, has gone from strength to strength. Obviously, has its ups and downs. But how big and important are these tournaments for cricketers like you or all over India? We're seeing the DPL, we've seen the UPT20, we saw the APL as well. This is just a brilliant platform for cricketers to just make a statement from time and time and again.
100%. I completely agree with you. It's especially with the IPL, you know, happening every year now. So it's something that as a young cricketer, as a cricketer in general, it's something that you really look forward to. And a lot of states are having these T20 tournaments. And, Karnataka were one of the first states, I think is the first state that had it. But, you do have a lot of IPL scouts coming in and they watch every single ball literally. And yeah, it's obviously great. And every league, if I can talk about just the one that happens in Karnataka, it's you find a talent every year, literally every year. And it's just fascinating to see where you can find one player, at least a minimum of one player coming through the ranks every year. And it's also a thing for some of us who've played the IPL in the past, where you got to keep getting up your game or upping your game in whatever ways, right? You need to keep performing. You have a lot of people who are really working really hard and putting on some performances. So it kind of to me it kind of creates a very healthy competition. It's something that really drives me to do a lot better than what I've been doing.
And as a captain, obviously, that's something which does it come naturally to you? Were you kind of chomping at the bit once you got the captaincy in this kind of team? And how did it kind of unravel for you there?
It's my third year as a captain for the league. And you know this year was special, firstly because we won it. Secondly, there were a lot of learnings that I had in my stint with CSK last year, and the kind of learnings that I've had with Mahi Bhai is pretty phenomenal. I think the way he handles players, the way he handles situations, and just the kind of composure, calmness, and the sense of belief that he has upon himself, and he has upon you, and which you automatically have upon yourself. So a lot of things that you do learn from him. And people really value every second they get with him. And I was very lucky. I was very fortunate. I got hours, weeks, and months with him.
Yeah, I mean, that's the jealousy factor as fans we have because you guys just mingle so brilliantly after every match. And we will pick your mind about that. And Akshay and Nikhil have some great questions. The final one from me, because this Maharaja T20 tournament just ended, And all your boys, Karnataka friends, there's so much of friendly banter and competition in the league because the Hubli Tigers in the final that you faced off had some mates of yours. Were you kind of messaging them post the match saying, come on, I got one on you all? How was the rivalry and the banter in that Karnataka dressing room?
I mean, I didn't send them any message as such, to be honest. But the banter is always there, whether it's on the field or off the field. The banter is always there, and it's very healthy banter. A lot of us are such close friends that it can never get unhealthy, no matter what. So it's always very healthy, and we've some of us have started playing cricket at very young ages, at 13 almost. So some of our friendships go back almost 17, 18 years, and you can't really break those friendships irrespective of what happens, right? So I mean, the banter is always there. But honestly, having said that, I'm sure you watched all the games, or even if you haven't, if you look at some of the games, the competition is real, and it really, we really get on each other's nerves on the ground, and we're probably at everyone's nose, and we're ready to do anything to win, if that's what I could say. And it's like that with everyone. It's not me. It's like that with everyone, and that probably one of the reasons why Karnataka gets such good cricketers through the years.
Absolutely. It's that thing called white line fever. In fact, when me and Akshay face off each other in terms of the cricket field, we also kind of go at it. So banter is always accepted in sport. Akshay, over to you then. I'm pretty sure you're a huge Shreyas Gopal fan and you have tons of questions for him. But in the interest of time, what are your two, three great questions that you can bowl him some?
100%. Shreyas, again, happy to chat with you. But as an RCB fan, of course, like most RCB fans would have told you, so I don't want to simply my head over how upsetting it must have been seeing you, take some of those wickets against my beloved team. But apart from that, Shreyas, you briefly spoke about how the competition is real, especially in this modern day cricket. With the era and the way we're seeing how cricket is being played. That's probably the perfect segue to what I wanted to understand. Karnataka, when it comes to the spinners, in the recent past, we've not really seen a lot. But last couple of years, you've seen, say, even this season, we saw someone like a Yash Punja with the Hubli Tigers. You saw even someone like a Deepak Devadika, more of a mystery spinner, so to say. With so many of these new variations coming in and new type of spinners coming in, how do you look at that? Firstly, like as competition, and secondly, how do you then sort of keep evolving? What is it like?
See, very good question. I think when you look at some of these guys, like if you look at Deepak Devadika, he has a bit of mystery in him. But I think the thing that's going to set him apart is only if he gets that much more consistent in terms of bowling. He should be able to land it. I'm not saying land it on a coin. I'm just saying land it in and around the area that you want to land. If you want to land it on middle and leg, I think line is something that you uh, have to be able to achieve in T20 cricket. Length, yes, in today's cricket, you would go up and down a little bit, but I think that's something that he's definitely going to be working on, and he's someone that I've played along with even in my previous franchise, and he was really good. And but when you look at, say, someone like a Yash Punja, he has something in him. He has the bounce. He has a good pace off the wicket. Again, with him, if you look at it traditionally, there are not too many leg spinners who play, say, 4-day cricket or red ball cricket for that matter. So if I have to really boil it down to something, it's about how he can actually turn up with a red ball. I think if you can really turn up with a red ball and play a few red ball games and do well with that, I think it makes it a lot more easier with the white ball in terms of where you want to bowl, because red ball, your fields are so attacking that the margin of error is actually very less, and you just get dabbed for four. You don't need to get smashed really. Even if it's just slightly back of length, you just go and you just beat slip, and it's going for four. Or if it's slightly over pitch, you just beat covers and it's going for four, because everyone's right up. So I think red ball cricket is something that they'll have to really keep an eye on, or try and focus a little more on for the time being. But they're really good bowlers. They have something in them. Other than that, it's just about getting better. It's about getting stronger. Uh, I'm not too sure about their fitness because I've not played too much with them, but I think you have to be fit enough to last a full first class season, for example, or you need to be. I'm not saying the best fielder, but you need to be a slightly decent fielder at least. That's the most basic thing you would expect in today's cricket. you have to be two dimensional, if not three. Three is great, but if you can be two dimensional, where I'm adding fielding is a given, right? Fielding is not something that you have, you have no choice on that. So that you can't be a bad fielder in today's cricket.
I mean, thank you for actually giving me great segues, because the next question was in a way connected to the whole first ball bit that you said. I do agree with you. And it's probably out there for everyone to see. There aren't too many wrist spinners flying that trade, when it comes to red ball cricket or multi-day cricket. But as a consequence, what we've seen is, there's this cliche, and we also see how captains use wrist spinners, say in the IPL or any tournament for that matter. They always are looked at as a more of an attacking option, as opposed to finger spinners, who are more of your defensive option in the way they bowl or the way they can be used by captains. I get it. One, maybe because wrist spinners probably, getting control is that much more difficult. You mentioned about how it's important to be consistent, but for wrist spinners, it will be that much more difficult. But do you ever see then wrist spinners also being used as defensive options, be it at the death, or do you see in general for spinners, is there like is there a role where spinners can be just defensive options, like wrist spinners in particular, instead of being the attacking go-to choices for wickets or boundaries or something like that?
See, very interesting question. If when you say can wrist spinners bowl in the death, of course, lot of wrist spinners bowl in the death. You've seen Yuzi bowl in the death. You've seen a lot of other wrist spinners bowl. Rashid has bowled in the death. So many guys have bowled in the death. So even in that case, if you really, I personally feel, if you're always just hoping not to give runs, sometimes you kind of concede too many as a wrist spinner, maybe not as a finger spinner, but at the same time, the game is moving in such a place that you need to be able to bowl anywhere. Whether you're a fast bowler or a spinner, I think you need to be able to bowl anywhere. And if you ask me, you could probably be more comfortable in power play and in the middle, or you could be more comfortable in the middle and in the death. But middle is more or less something that most bowlers will be okay with. But you have to, I think, be able to bowl in either the power play or the death, irrespective of wrist spin, finger spin, doesn't really matter. Um, yeah, I mean that's about it. And when you talk about defensive options, I don't think we are too much of a defensive option. At the same time, it also depends on the kind of bowler that you are. Someone who has a very traditional action might not be the easiest or the most effective defensive option. Might more or less be an attacking option. But you do have wrist spinners or leg spinners who are much faster through the air, and slightly, maybe lesser wrist work as such, who could probably be a slight defensive option as well.
Just one last question, sorry. Wrist spinners and that art is something that really fascinates me, because it's the most difficult art form, is what I feel. I know pace bowling and all of that it takes a toll on your body, but the craft that's involved with wrist spin is something I personally admire a lot. Shreyas, when you look at how T20 cricket has evolved, say in the last 10 years, and I'll probably just stick to IPL because you've seen that, say, from IPL 2015 to now, the way wrist spinners have bowled, or the way they've sort of, gone about the business. You spoke about how spinners are now quicker through the air. You see someone like a Rashid Khan, that's the mold of spinners we're slowly seeing. Someone like a Shreyas Sharma as well, a lot more quicker than, say, a UZ who can bowl in those 70s, 80s if needed. So are you. You come from that traditional sort of, school of thought in terms of how you bowl leg spin. What are the changes you've seen in the craft itself and the way leg spinners have, started bowling, say, in 2025 compared to 2015?
I mean, you obviously have guys with much more different actions. Back in the day, you didn't have very unique actions in terms of wrist spin. So now, I think that's something that has come. A lot of mystery bowlers have turned up in the last few years now. But other than that, if you really look at it, even you can point out on Rashid, you can point out on Yuzi, you can point out on Zampa, you can point out on Adil Rashid, you can call out a Kuldeep Yadav. I think the thing that they have is they spin the ball, right? I think that goes without saying. And the moment you stop trying to spin the ball, trying to bowl faster through the air, or not trying to spin the ball, irrespective if your strength is a googly and you only prefer bowling the googly because that's going to spin, that's going to spin irrespective of that. But if you stop spinning the ball, I think it's just going to get that much more easier. Maybe you'll survive at a lower uh, league or a lower division or a lower grade of cricket. But if you have to play higher, you have to spin the ball, and there's no chance. Other there's guarantee no chance. You have to be able to spin the ball, or you'll have to have a lot of very subtle variations in terms of your delivery points and your delivery place of the crease, and things like that, or just bowl one here, one there. You need to be very skilled. But that is just a secondary thing. If you have to be able to spin the ball to even be able to achieve something like that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shreyas.
Fascinating. Fascinating. And we have a few IPL questions also to get to. But Nick's, of course, is a CSK fan himself. So, Nikhil Popa, what do you have for Shreyas Gopal this evening?
Hey, firstly, great to be chatting with him and hearing him. And I actually feel like a leg spinner right now because I am asking questions after Akshay has asked everything that is there. So the power play bowling is gone. The off spinner has come and bowled the tight seventh over. And now the leggy gets an old ball when either the batters are set or you have to be the guy who's, just there to just keep things tight like that. So, firstly, great to talk to a rare species because a leg spinning all rounder, we have to just, you can't even Google them. There are very few. And Shreyas definitely is one of them. Sir, how do you feel about you spoke about having other dimensions to your game. How much do you think it's important today? Like, say, for an example, something like a Viprasnika. He's someone who's come through, and we've seen him as an option who's someone who's batting as along with an option of his bowling. And we've seen wrist spinners, but we haven't seen them bat as well. Rashid is one such example. Maybe Viprasnika. And you were the first one who we saw. I'm not going to have a dig at Anil Kumble sir and say, he would have done what he would have done, but you're the first such example of we seeing leg spinners who could bat. How much and how important it is for someone like us, because we are in an impact player era, and that is the context behind all of this. That how critical do you think is adding that extra dimension of batting to your skills that are there on show?
See, when you talk about, so I would just want to base it based on T20 cricket right now. I think being able to bat is extremely, extremely important. Okay, it could be even getting a 2-ball 6. It could be an 8-ball 15, 18, or something like that. But that is actually gold right now in today's cricket. And if you can do it, irrespective of whether you hit 3 boundaries or 3 sixes to get that 18 runs in those 7-8 balls, but if you can manage to get that at a strike rate of 180, something like that, because you're playing that only that many number of balls, it's very, very important. And it only gives you a better chance, firstly, to win a match for your team, and secondly, to actually stay relevant in the game. So irrespective if you're batting, if you're bowling for whatever reason doesn't go as per plan, you're not going to be impacted, and that's not going to be the end of your match, because you still have something with the bat, and you could come up with those 5 overs 50 kind of a thing where you guys are chasing and you're batting with probably an experienced batsman at the other end, and you still have to be able to score at 100, or you might have to even score at a 200, right, strike rate. You might have to hit the odd boundary. So those things are very, very important in today's cricket. Definitely, it's something that is not ignored, is definitely valued, is definitely considered. So I think Vipraj, in that sense, he's done really well with the bat as well last season. And yes, there could come a time where he might find it harder to balance out either of the two, but that's where the whole skill of an all-rounder comes in. And when I have when I'm practicing, it sometimes feels like, man, I think I'm putting in a little too much. But then you realize that you're putting in that much effort on batting and bowling because you need to. That's a skill, and that's a very unique thing that you've been uh, able to do. So it's something you might just look at it as an extra few hours of practice, but that's something that you have to do, and it's only going to be in your benefit.
Great to hear, and thank you. I have one more for you in terms of from your CSK experience. Uh, Maybe last season wasn't the best time to be around that group, but you've been part of so many setups in the IPL itself, and you've led teams as well in domestic cricket. How different do you think can setups be? Because we are coming to times where almost every setup can look similar from the outside. There is plenty of people now who are in the setup. So times you've also experienced that times yourself as a player, that you may not have 20, 15, 20 people who are giving information to you at different levels in with different teams. So how do you think that CSK setup stood out for you in that sense? And how do you think this is going to go forward in terms of how much will it always be more data, or eventually it will just be I have all the data, but eventually I'm going with my gut feel because you're also a captain. So how do you weigh all of these options, and how do you see setups differently?
See, firstly, I think even though we didn't have the best season last year, I think the way we handled, or the way the CSK, the management, Mahibai, and everyone involved handled that situation, because anything that we tried doing didn't really go our way. So the way we handled it was, I think, exceptional. Okay, because it's not easy when you keep coming and nothing turns up in your favor, and things are just going against yourself. It's very easy to crumble personally from there, and it's obviously a spiral that's going down from there on. But here we had everyone trying their absolute best to make something come off. Maybe one moment in the match, maybe one extra victory. Somewhere down the line, we knew that qualification was going to be hard after a few games, but we still turned up trying to make every moment count. And when you see that happening from first hand, right? When you see every player walking in to really try and make a difference for the side, I think that's a sign of a very healthy atmosphere that's already been created over the decade, or over a decade and a half, right? So that was the first thing. I think it was phenomenal to be seeing. Your second question, I'm sorry, I forgot that second part.
The setups, in terms of how you have come through, in terms of the experience with the setups that are there around you.
Yeah, so this setup was perfect in terms of how they handled it. And your other question was, I think, on data, right? I think
Data.
Data,
each
yeah.
each person is very, it's very individualistic. I think it just depends on each individual. Some people really like to dig deep in, and get a lot of information and get a lot of data. Some people just are just going to be like, this is what I can do, this is what I'm best at, I'm going to do it. So if that is the batsman's strength, it's my strength versus his strength. Some people really feed off other people's input. So it just depends on what kind of a player you are. I have also met a lot of people who are very data driven. I've met a lot of people who don't watch videos too much at all, to be very honest. And you know most of them are as successful, if not more than each other. So that, I don't think, really stands out in that thing. But here in the CSK thing, it was exactly what I said. If you want extra videos, if you want extra footage, or extra knowledge on each batsman, you can definitely walk up to your performance analyst, to your batting coach, your bowling coach, and the head coach, and everyone over there, because the setup was phenomenal. You had Mike Hussey, Stephen Fleming, you had all these guys with you. So some of the players that are playing, you don't need an introduction ever for them, right? So you can just bounce off those ideas, and everything is available. You want to know how a batsman ideally looks at the first 3-4 balls that he plays. You can probably get a lot of videos of it. You can go and say, is a bowler more majority outswing, in swing, what does he try and do, what are his go-to balls in the death? Anything is available, but it just depends if you really want to take in that much, or you just
Have
want
that
to go in
information.
with a very natural feel.
Okay, thank you so much.
Best, there's so many subtleties and great questions from Nick and Akshay. We have a few from the comments
Yeah.
before we let Shreyas go. And we'd be more than happy to share that with him. I think there are a few IPL centric ones. Guy Ritchie had this one at the start of the show, Shreyas. What has been your favorite wicket personally for you in the IPL? I think 52 IPL wickets in all. You played the IPL for over 11 years now. Anything which stands out, your favorite one?
A hat trick, sorry.
Um, I mean, it has to be one of the three wickets in the hat trick. If the hat trick as a moment was my biggest moment so far in my career, and yeah, one of those wickets. It's very hard to pick between Virat and ABD. To be very honest, not like Stoinis he's still smashing every other bowler around the park, but I would have to pick one of them, and it's very hard to pick either any of that.
I think the bigger question is, Shreyas, how do you maintain that humility while saying, yeah, Virat, ABD, Marcus Stoinis, so yeah, that was the hat trick, How do you, like, if it were me, I would have been just screaming out on top of my voice, yeah, Virat, AB, Stoinis, arguably three of the best batters, like some of the best batters there, and I've got all three of them in three consecutive deliveries. You go take your pick.
I mean, see, firstly, I just am that thing where I think I'm very grateful to be getting those kind of wickets. Not everyone or not every time can you get those things, because I've also been smashed around the park by them. But other than that, I still have to bowl to them in the IPL, so I better be humble about it.
I feel it's that reactions. Is one more thing to add. I remember some of your reactions, like even you, like because you also don't know how to process. I'm just assuming this for you. Like I remember you covering your mouth, even you were just as stunned. Oh wait, did I just actually do this? And those reactions were genuinely, like when you see such genuine reactions, that's what makes a sport what it is, right?
Yeah, I mean that I was pretty surprised myself. I didn't expect him to ever get. I would never expect to have ever gotten Virat out or AB out. And to get them out on the second or third time, probably why that reaction was.
No worries. There was another question which came at the top of the show for you. Was I think around your IPL debut, playing for the Mumbai Indians. I think against RR. Funnily enough, and I think you got like a twofer. I just checked it up. What was that moment for you like? Because did the penny drop immediately in your mind that you're playing in this T20 league with the names that Mumbai Indians had at the time? Did you kind of remind yourself of the cricket and be like, dude, hard work has paid off, and now life's going to go on from here?
I mean, I knew the previous day when I was going to be playing, and yeah, I mean, it really hit the roof when they told me that I was going to be playing the next day, and I still am more or less, but I'm not a very uh, I'm not a very calm person before a game. When I say calm, I mean like I don't sleep very well. I always wake up. I'm always thinking about the game. I'm always thinking of what I should be doing, how I should be preparing. Smaller thoughts like that through the night. So that night was probably 1 hour or 2 hours of sleep, and not more than that. It was an afternoon game, if I'm not wrong, and from I think 11ish, I was just after breakfast. I was first get into breakfast, because everyone in the IPL, when we are in the IPL, we start waking up a little late because our body is getting used to sleeping a little late, so we get that many hours of sleep. But that night, I mean that night day kind of a thing, I didn't really sleep too much, so I was up and about by about 8:30, and then I was just waiting to get on the ground. And I just have to get into the ground quickly. I need to go wear my shoes and come onto the ground and just get a feel of the atmosphere. That was something I was just looking to do. At the same time, I've had a few friends in that team who have played, like the local boys who have played before with. So, it was just about spending some time with them and them calming me more than anything else.
Indeed, I think your first couple of wickets was Stuart Binney, and I think Ankit Sharma as well, who you got on that day. Or is this XIX saying those times where it was certain that if RR played, RCB Shreyas would make a place in the 11? We all knew RCB spin frailties back in the day, but Shreyas was perfect to exploit that. Darshan Senthil asking you, Shreyas, what's the best conversation you've had at the IPL? Doesn't have to be with a teammate, it could be with anyone.
See, like I just spoke about the conversations I've had about with Mahibai in terms of captaincy and stuff, right? But if I could just rewind a little bit and give us another great example, this was probably in 2014 or 15, sometime there when the IPL was in Dubai. So I think it's 14 when the IPL was in Dubai, and there's a photo of Sachin Paji next to me, and then he's explaining something, and we're sitting in the crowd because our game was just next, and he was exactly telling me what each bowler is going to bowl, and just looking at the field set. And that was the first time I was exposed to someone just looking at the field and reading what the bowler is going to be bowling, and he got everything right. And there was a time where he said the bowler is going to double bluff, where he's going to keep this field and he's going to and double bluff, and he got that right as well. And then I don't know, I mean, after that I was like, no wonder he's Sachin Tendulkar, and that's why he's got that many runs.
It's amazing. I mean, Sachin Tendulkar probably knows the history of every bowler that he's played, and he's one for numbers too. I think I've read somewhere there. Really quickly, then Chandan Ramaya saying, "Who are the next set of players, Shreyas, from Karnataka, who you think will make it big? One batter, one pacer, one spinner, please."
See, if I have to talk of a batter, right on top of my list would be R. Smaran. I think he's someone that I've played with in the last year. and I think he's phenomenal. I think he can be the next big player for Karnataka as a batsman. As a bowler, there are a few guys, but maybe they need a little more work. But they're right up there when it comes to talent and things like that. If you follow the Maharaja League, I think there's a boy called Srivatsa who played for us. He's a local Mangalore boy who I don't think has played too much state cricket, or I don't know if he's played state cricket. He's the first time I met him was here, and he showed a lot of promise. Someone who I could just throw the ball to at the toughest of overs for someone who's that young and that inexperienced at this level. So he's someone that I really thought was very good. Yash Punja is another boy, but I still feel he needs to get a little more accurate. Uh, but he has the stuff. He spins the ball, and that's something. And he has a good amount of bounce off the thing. Um, yeah, I mean, that's right on top of my head. These many, but if you give me another 20 minutes, I'll probably give you a whole list of it.
100%, and I echo your thoughts. Even if people have seen the T20 league, if the Maharaja tournament, then they would see so many talents coming through. Sports fans, sticking with the Karnataka bit of things, because it has to be mentioned, you were part of that cream crop of cricketers who went on to achieve so much in those years, especially the treble. I think 2014 was it, Akshay? I'm not sure. But how was that time with Vinay Kumar being, of course, captain, and what a team Karnataka had at that point in time? Shreyas, just talk to us about those 3 4 years.
I mean, that was like the golden period when I played first class cricket. Still haven't been able to recreate such a team. Not that it's impossible or we didn't have the chance. We got very close a lot of times, but I think that's a bunch of guys were really good. If you really look at it, uh, I think Vinay led magnificently well. He's someone who's very aggressive. He's always in front of the batsman. He's always giving it back. He's someone who's always full of energy, full of aggression. He's a fast bowler by nature, so it comes very naturally to him. And I think the best part of his captaincy is a proper bowler's captain. I think it's very hard to be a bowler's captain, and very few people can or have that ability. I think a lot of people don't give us that margin of errors. Sometimes we criticize or we are put in a spot very quickly. I think he gave me that freedom. He came up to me. I remember him coming and telling me, "I don't mind you going at 4, 5, 6 runs and over, as long as you're giving me 3 or 4 wickets in those 10, 15 overs that you're going to be bowling." So my whole mindset went in to take wickets more than trying to keep it tight and trying to just accumulate the dot balls and things like that. They did that. Like when I was almost unplayable on certain wickets, we had Arvind coming in and bowling at an economy of 1.5, maximum 2. You had Mithun trying to really rattle the batsman. And then there was me where Stuart Binney coming and keeping it really tight for a fourth bowler. And then there was me where, I was really young and he brought me also at times where, uh, where the batsman would definitely have to make the play and the chances of getting a wicket was that much higher. So he brought me in those times. So I did go maybe for a few runs, but I always got those wickets. So he always understood when to use a bowler, especially when to use a leg spinner. So I think then you have Robbie, when Robbie, the brain, Robbie, the batsman, Robbie, the mentor, Robbie, the captain, Robbie, the senior player was also something phenomenal. Then me, Karun. I think Rahul was making a comeback that year, or just the previous year he had made that comeback and things like that. So we guys were very young at that time, but we had some really top players and top human beings in that group. They knew when to be uh, kind to us. They knew when to give us a tap on the backside, and it kind of blended perfectly, and it went perfectly with this with the combination of our side.
Just
Well
one last
answered.
question
And
for you.
go on,
Before
go
we
on.
let you go again, from the names bit again, I was like, there's this one name that I've been really looking forward to. Unfortunately, wasn't a part of this season. Shreyas, you would remember, of course, Advait Shetty, the left-arm pacer who was with Mangalore last year. Personally, I enjoyed seeing him bowl, and he was like one of, I would say, two bowlers who was bowling in excess of 140 last season. And on top of that, that left-arm angle, beautiful action. I was genuinely looking forward to seeing. With so many names coming up, and of course, like invariably, teams will have their own strategy and whatnot. But just more of a personal thing. Any idea like how is it? having someone like a youngster like him, bowling at nearly 140 at that age, he seemed pretty good.
Yeah, he was good. He was really good. Unfortunately, this year he had an injury, so he missed out on the league. But again, it boils down to how you use your variations, how you use the pace that you have. You should understand that if you have that pace, are you able to land it in the right place with that pace? And I think he's only going to get better from here. He did show a lot of promise, and he's someone that has a lot of potential, and he's someone that can make a bit of a difference coming in the coming years. But for that, you obviously have to put in a lot more work, especially as a fast bowler, in terms of your body, in terms of your recovery and things like that. And honestly believe the young fast bowlers also have to be having a lot of overs behind their back, and then only the skill set is going to improve. It goes without saying for a spinner. I think spinners, irrespective, have to have a lot of overs behind their back, and then the skill set comes out. But even for a young fast bowler, I think you have to have a lot of overs behind your back rather than not and deciding not to push in the net session. There has to be sometimes that you have to take that extra leap and bowl the extra few overs. So that's when you would get better. And I'm sure Advit is definitely going to be working on those things. He's had a break this year, but it gives him a good 12 months to come back fresh, really as a different Advit Shetty, the left arm fast bowler next year.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Amazing insights. Brilliantly answered there. Shreyas, thank you so much for your time tonight. Wish you well with everything going forward. In fact, we have a cricket simulator and I actually put in Karnataka 1996 team versus Karnataka 2014 team. You know who won in that game? Karnataka 1996 lost by 2 runs. Shreyas Gopal is man of the match. Can you believe it?
Really?
Can you believe it? Yeah. It's a hypothetical game. It's crazy. We'll send in the screenshot. But Shreyas, on that chuckle note, appreciate your time. And like I said, good luck with everything going ahead and hope to see you thrive in Karnataka and IPL colors.
Thank you so much, guys. Lovely talking to you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Super.
Thank you.
Super. Brilliant, man. What a lovely lad. I think I will be biased to say, like, all Karnataka boys are really good, including me and Akshay. Not to say that Nick is as well. And the chat was certainly, I think, one to remember in terms of our MNL journey. Just a quick one from you boys. Yes, very chilled guy, right? Nick's answered everything, to be fair.
That's what happens when you spend a year at Chennai. It is just natural. It has to come out, and you will feel very happy and proud that we have come through a very calm, peaceful environment. Everybody's trusting each other. No, nothing. No superstar culture. That's how. That's what happens.
Okay, look, on that fun note, let's stick with Shreyas Gopal. If you guys know, we should have actually bloody wished him a happy birthday in advance because he's actually a cricketer born in September. Is September 4th born, is what his Google tells me. But just to play our game and our segment of who makes the 11 this week, it's a special. Right. So if you guys watched MNL last week, we're basically starting a new segment in MNL in terms of making random cricket 11s. And we want your help in the comments to just ideate and just talk fluff with us as we go through this list. So the topic this week for making the 11 is all cricketers in no matter what era, they had to be born in September. That was the only caveat. So there's a lot of names. I'll get the conversation rolling, guys. There's Shubman Gill, there's Shreyas Gopal, there's Shane Warne, there's Guy Whittle, if you guys want to go back into the Zimbabwe 1990s.
There's Chris Gayle. I know Chris Gayle September. Ashwin is September.
Ashwin is September. Surya Kumar Yadav is September as well.
Oh,
he's a definite. So there's a lot of names. So essentially, with the help of these names and the comments, you guys can let me know. Yeah, go on next.
I was just trying to make having 11 women cricketers as well, and it's shaping up to be a very good one. I have 6 of them already. But it just tells you how many greats are born this month. Grace Harris, Susie Bates.
No, I'm already. You tell me, Grace Harris. Who else is September born in the women's field?
So there is Grace Harris, there is Susie Bates, there is Prabodhini, there's Richardson, who I don't know how many people. There is Shakila Salman, of course. The first result that you will get if you Google. So both are definitely now. And there are a few more names. There's Lee Tawu as well from New Zealand there. So almost 6-7 names. That's good.
Well,
okay, fine.
For the guys,
men's and women's.
हाँ बताओ.
Yeah. No, I'm saying with women's and men's and our knowledge in the chat right now, let's just try to populate 11, okay? Because like you just were also reiterating to Akshay, there's lots more Indian cricketers than we actually think of who are born in September. So like I said, Shubman Gill, Ishant Sharma, Suryakumar Yadav, Ashwin, Ambati Rayudu, Manish Pandey, Mohammad Shami, Balaji, Mohit Sharma. So there's already ready-made
Akash
options that we can
Chopra,
choose.
Pragyan Oja, Robin Singh, oh my goodness. Kiran More, Murli Karthik, Lakshmipati Balaji, Abhimanyu Ishwaran, Faiz Fazal, Jemmy. Oh, Jemmy is there.
Jemmy hai. There is
Abrar
you have
Ahmad.
Ishan, of course, Jemmy.
ले लो ऐसा वो ये करेगा.
Your
There is
favorite,
Morgan
bro,
Dhananjay De Silva.
Jatavanyan Subramaniam. Oh, there's Morgan, the Dhananjay De Silva. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So who are the must-haves in a September cricketers born 11? So Shane Warne, Gale, I would go for those two instantly. Are we adding
Ashwin.
Gill in Sky as well? Ashwin,
There is Butler.
Butler.
Joss.
There is Joss
Wow,
Butler.
Joss is... That's incredible. All the best people in the world are born in September, I'm telling you. Including me and Kareena Kapoor. We share the same birthday.
Kareena Kapoor.
But
Wow.
jokes apart, who would you go as your openers? Imagine this was like, say, a test 11 or just the ultimate cricket 11. Are we going for Gale and
Gil.
Joss or Gale, Gill?
Gil
Gil
with
and Gil.
shits and giggles because Gil just the name, it sounds so funny. So yeah.
Gill.
Okay,
Correct.
Gill, then Joss Butler.
Sure, yeah. Josh, yeah. I would actually have Josh at number 6, like lower down. Manish Pandey at number 3. You've got Manish. Sky at number 4. You've got Ambati Rayudu at number 5, if you want.
Sky se acha, I would put Jemmy at number 4. To be very honest. Test level.
Oh. Wow, bhai.
I would go Jemmy over
Abhimanyu
Manish
Ishwaran
Pandey.
इधर
To be
भी नहीं
fair.
है क्या? बेचारा अभिमन्यु
Yeah,
पेटिंग
I could-
पे तो.
Lala Amarnath,
I think you
someone
could-
saying in the chat.
You could have Jemmy at 3 itself. So that's also something that you can do.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with that. Gale, Gill, Jemmy, Sky, Ambati Rayudu, Joss Butler, Ravichandran Ashwin
wait,
at
not
7,
Sky,
Shane
Manish
Warne at
Pandey
8.
Shane
Oh,
Warne
okay,
at
fine.
8 works.
Fair.
Huh? Wait,
Yeah,
bro, but
okay,
we
and
must go
9,
in the
10.
Amarnath for what it's worth.
Seals hai. There is Jaden Seals, Ishant Sharma, Mohammad Shami.
हाँ ए शमी
That's
नहीं
a
है ना
good
शमी
shout.
तो मार्च से है
हाँ तो Seals और Sharma
Shami's
तो
there.
है. I mean Ishant है.
हाँ
Shami
हाँ
looks nice.
ईशान
Would you go for Balaji, bro, to be fair?
वो बालाजी I loved it.
हाँ चलेगा.
Yeah, Balaji
मेरे को
for
Seals
me.
चाहिए, Jemmy
I don't
चाहिए,
think-
Butler चाहिए बस.
Okay, so let's throw Nix's 3 favorite people in. Jaden Seals, so he, I think, would probably be in 10, 11. Jemmy is batting at 3. And the other one that you suggested, Nix, is whom?
Butler, he's there at 6-7. I'm happy.
Butler. Okay, fine. So, Akshay, tell me if I'm going correctly with this 11, okay? Best 11 cricketers to win born in September. Subman Gill, Chris Gale, Jemima Rodriguez, 1 down. 2 down, Sky / Manish Pandey. What do we go for?
मनीष रेड बॉल मतलब मनीष अच्छा किया है तो या
Okay, Manish Pandey. Ambati Rayudu walks in at 5. So we can get a commentator if we do need it. 6, Joss Butler. 7, Ashwin. 8, Warne. 9, Balaji. 10, Jaden Seals. There's one more spot remaining. So are we going
Ishant Sharma,
Shami? Are we
Ishant
going
Oh no, Ishant.
Ishant Sharma?
Yes.
Oh, but there's some 2
Kruzner.
names thrown in here in the mix by Santosh Sharpa.
Imran Khan.
Kruzner and Imran Khan. The Simons, God bless him.
So Balaji, bye. Imran
Bro, and to be
Khan
fair, I
comes
think-
So we could actually
So
make
Imran comes in
format
at
11
9.
for September.
No, okay, fine. I think I got it. Okay.
No, wait, Stark is Jan.
Okay, go
I
on.
just confirmed Stark is in there. Baki, yeah, go for it.
Okay, so Shubman Gill, Chris Gale, Jemima Rodriguez, Manish Pandey, Ambati Rayudu, Joss Butler, Lance Kluzner, Shane Warne, Ravichandran Ashwin, Jaden Seals, Imran Khan. I don't know. I'm just like,
Imran
again,
Khan भी October
hoping all these
Imran
guys.
Khan हटाओ, Ishant Sharma है, Ishant Sharma को लो. Let's seal the deal there.
Okay, Ishan Sharma was. So we'll have another interesting topic next week in the MNL, but it's time to move on to best of the rest because there's so much to talk to you about generally cricketing affairs all over the world, and we'll keep it quick.
Ada
right, where do we start in terms of the world cricket news this week or last week, however you want to perceive it? There's Asia Cup preparation in full swing. India, I think, are going to be heading to the UAE and going to probably be practicing in the ICC Academy in Dubai. They did that for the Champions Trophy. They'll do that this time. They're going to be leaving in kind of patches. 4th September is what the BCCI wants them to land, maybe like 10, 11 days before the tournament. Remember, all the other sides in the Asia Cup have their own scene going on, with UAE, Pakistan, Afghanistan being part of a tri-series right now. Zimbabwe, Sri Lanka, which we'll talk about, giving Sri Lanka some good game time out there before they take on the Asian beasts and different things. So let's start with Asia Cup updates first and foremost. Shubman Gill apparently is in Bangalore, Akshay. I don't know if you saw him in the airport. He landed on the same day as you, but he is practicing at the Excellence Center. And after him being named vice captain, he walks into that 11, right? So there's no doubts for you there at all, just to be clear?
Yeah, even if I had any, I mean, you can't announce or make someone the vice captain and then not have them in the 11. Delhi Capitals, Faf du Plessis, we've already burnt our hands as viewers. So yeah, he's definitely going to be a part of the 11.
Okay, next, with regards to the whole squad that we, of course, spoke about last week, there's not going to be much changing, because what we spoke about on MNL 2 episodes ago will probably remain intact for that first game, which is on the 10th of September for India.
Yeah, I think don't see much changing. Hopefully everybody's fit and fine. Arshdeep and Harshit have had a good game. Yes, one inning only, but they've got some decent bowling time now. Time to see if they can do it in the shortest format. I hope everybody's fit and fine, because they've all had a good break for a change, and may that continue.
Yeah, Shubman Gill was ill. That's why I think he opted out of the trophy, and now I think he's just recovering. Got another practice session in, and then going to be heading to Dubai. I don't know if you guys saw this Afghanistan, Pakistan, UAE pre-series press conference, and one of the reporters said, "Hey guys, Rashid, my question is to you. How do you feel to be the second best team in Asia?" And then the camera pans to Salman Ali Agha, who's chuckling away in the corner.
Like, oh.
But Akshay, honestly, in this tri-series, even though it doesn't mean anything and it's like a dress rehearsal for the Asia Cup, if Afghanistan actually win, do they actually kind of go into that being favorites for the final?
You don't have to look at the Asia Cup. I mean, the tri-series. Look at the World Cup. Where did Afghanistan finish? They made it in the semi-finals by defeating the likes of Australia, and then you've got a Pakistan who lost to USA. That's all I can say. So it's not like a very false statement or something. There's a lot of merit in that, and I don't mind even accepting that Afghanistan is arguably the second best side in Asia right now, especially in this format.
Yeah, I mean, let's see how this tri-series, I should say, will go through, and whether we kind of see anything crazy before the Asia Cup. Next, is this going to be the first Asia Cup without Virat or Babar? In terms of, obviously, there have been previous Asia Cups without Virat and Babar, but in recent memory, I can't remember. Living memory.
I don't think he's missed any as well, as far as I remember. And
Babar played every Asia Cup since 2016.
और एक ही जन है who can
Seems.
have a good memory, who's going to play. So ठीक है. I'll wait for Virat special when he comes.
We will. Dhruv saying, although we say India favorites to win the Asia Cup with all teams playing some cricket, while India, the only team without any T20 cricket recently, doesn't make the little rusty. Sri Lanka is the second, in my opinion. In fact, we'll speak about Sri Lanka then. Zimbabwe, Sri Lanka is going on, and we'll talk about the best bits for Sri Lanka as well with Chalza Sri Lanka as captain. I mean, to be fair, I think if he does pull off something remarkable in the Asia Cup, it'll be brilliant. But what we've liked so far is obviously Nasanka. The bowlers did brilliantly. I think, who was it? One of Akshay's favorite left-arm pacers going around, and Dilshan Madhushankar to stop Sikandar Raza pulling off something crazy in that first ODI. It's been a great time for the Curran brothers. More on that later. But Ben Curran was part of this ODI series, a 70 and a 79 for him. So he must be brilliant. But there's still 3 more T20Is to go. Akshay, do you actually consider Sri Lanka as a threat in the Asia Cup? Because they've had some good memories over India of late.
And let's anyone forget they are the defending champions when it comes to T20 Asia Cups. So yeah, I mean, Yeah, देखो भाई वर्ल्ड कप के अलावा मेरे को वही सब I don't think even sometimes I really wonder does the Indian team also take it just as seriously as some of the fans do. But Sri Lanka in this format, man, we know it's such a volatile format, and Sri Lanka definitely have a few good players who on their day can really do well. Wow, man, that sounded so cliche, but it's true. There is Deshan Madhushankar, you got Nuwan Tushara with the spinners as well that we have, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how some of the batters actually perform. Pathum Nasanka, we know this has not really been his format, but he's still been being backed, sort of almost to the hilt, so to say. So I'm hoping that somehow they are able to come up with decent cohesive performances, and yeah, you never know.
Nick, I hate comparing teams, but sometimes that inevitably pops up when we're having a chat on cricket. This Sri Lanka team that we're seeing, obviously in the ODI format, there might be a couple of tweaks for the T20 format against Zimbabwe. On paper, this Sri Lankan team, according to you, is it better than this new Pakistan team without Babar and Rizwan? Do you think they're kind of equal in class?
I don't think it's a fair comparison. Pakistan haven't had any success in this format for this year in itself. Even if I'm going to look at just the T20s. So I think Sri Lanka are far better placed in terms of personnel, and most importantly, something that I want to reiterate. Ever since Zanath has taken over the reins, you've seen them have that spark in terms of how sometimes they've had these very shrewd tactics that we've always associated with Sri Lanka in terms of some of the better usages that you see of their spinners and their options that they have, and they play freely, and that's what you want eventually. Okay, you just want people to not worry too much, but still be very good at what they do, which is what they did in that first today itself. It 10 of 6 is doable. You had Sikandar on strike, and everybody knew what was going to happen in terms of Sikandar knew that he'll go to target the leg side. Madhushanka also knew. But the fact that Madhushanka held his nerve not just once but twice, because Brad Evans came in and he also attempted the very same thing, but he also couldn't do it. So I think Sri Lanka has something going for them as a unit, and that I think is very good for them. And I still say they are probably second best, because if I'm going to go all formats, Afghanistan probably third in that aspect in terms of best sides in Asia.
And again, like we said about Afghanistan, if Sri Lanka actually do well here, which they have had a history of with the Asia Cup, it just sets them so well for that World Cup in India next year. And we've so often kind of looked back over the years with Sri Lanka sides doing well in T20 World Cups, but then that kind of stalled in the middle. So let's see if they can come back and be a powerhouse next year in the World Cup. A little bit more international cricket before we talk about random T20 leagues and react to that Rajasthan Royals news. And then there's Akshay's quiz, which is a very, very good one, actually linking it to the Rahul Dravid story. England versus South Africa, then it starts tomorrow. Really quick turnaround from the 100. Harry Brooks, England against South Africa, who are just coming on the back of a brilliant win themselves in Australia. Akshay and Nick's obviously going to be supporting South Africa here. Why should Akshay, anyone watch this particular bilateral series? Is it just England, South Africa, two powerhouses in cold September conditions in England? Is that good enough to watch this series?
Not for me, but of course, fans of both teams would want to watch their favorite side play. But Baki, though, I've always been of the opinion bilaterals. Yeah, Nikhil Bhai knows, and I'd actually let Nikhil Bhai answer this because he will be watching this. It's a format he loves, so he'll be actually the better person to answer this.
But there is Sony Burkar is he's going to make his international debut tomorrow. So why? उससे बड़ा reason अगर किसी को चाहिए तो then भाई साहब, there are some things that you have to reconsider. Even though I don't want to fight with Akshay about bilaterals and how important it is to look at it, because I feel these are good times to see what they are likely to offer. Because there is Jacob Bethel, who hasn't had a good time in terms of playing for England. So he's also someone that I'm looking forward to. That how does he go about? And South Africa had a good result in Australia. Can they back it up? What are their plans? So always happy to see if Stubbs has it in him. Didn't have a great. I hope Stubbs catches better. I am tired of watching Stubbs field badly. So I think there are enough chotu things to take care of. And yeah, let's see if Baker can take a 5.
Yeah, Nick, I think it's good that you bring up those points because I'm just quickly skimming through the England squad and Butler's there, Bethel is there, Duckett is there, Root is there. So it kind of gives you a vibe that it is a marquee bilateral series, if I have to put it that way. And even freaking awesome lending stats as usual on the podcast, saying it's been 27 years, apparently, Akshay. South Africa have not won an ODI series in England. The last time they did manage to do that was 1998. I'm guessing Hansi Cronje days. And it's crazy because if you think of the white ball cricketers who've come through that time for South Africa, AB and Dumini and all of those guys winning actually a test series there, but not actually getting ODI success in that time. That's also a little subplot for sure. Look, I'll be watching this series purely because, again, good times to watch cricket. It's not like the CPL, which comes ridiculously late. It's always going to be on. It's easy accessibility as well. And with South Africa winning in Australia, if they actually go and win in England, it'll be really, really good before they come to India in October and play tests against us. Enough for international cricket then. We'll move on and we'll react to the 100th final because that was a good tournament. 68 games. We got two amazing teams in terms of the women's winning it, Northern Superchargers over there. And what a story. Akshay and Neha will dive deep into a lot of 100 stories to come out. I love the batter who's made her name for the Northern Superchargers, Perrin. And of course, my Lauren Bell. Enough said with Lauren Bell. Should have got a winner's medal around her neck. Wasn't to be. But the men's game then, boys. Who saw it? I saw it only for a brief time, Nix, in that chase of Trent Rockets when Banton and Root opened. Will Jacks took a brilliant catch in to dismiss Root. And then after that, it just switched off. I just thought Root's either going to be the guy to get them, even though they had Stoinis and all the other names.
I think Stoinis scored a handy 50, but it always felt too many to chase. And what a story, over Invincibles. And very weird and ironic that I don't see any team at this point of time win 3 titles in a row after this. I'm saying all Invincibles are the last of the lot. To win 3 titles in a league in any which way is very, very difficult. And I think we've spoken about all Invincibles before that. It's the depth that they have and how everybody is just chipped in seamlessly. I don't remember. There have been good 100 knocks in the past, but this very season, some of the batting that I've seen from Jordan Cox, some of the batting that I saw from Sam Curran and Cox together in that one game, and Donovan Farrell, those 3 knocks I will never forget. Because scoring 103 in 29 balls, it doesn't happen often. For all the 100 days of franchise cricket that we see, it doesn't happen. So I think very deserved winners. Right at the start of the season, we told कि 100 में जीतना है, आंख बंद करके ओवन Invincibles बोल दो and you can live your life happily. So they will be MI London next year. I am really interested to see how much of that core can be retained, and because it's difficult, and I can understand how hard it is going to be to replicate. Adam Zampa flew in for 1 game. It doesn't happen this often. And still Souter was the guy who took wickets, and that's the best thing about cricket, man. You can get the biggest names, but still it is Will Jacks with the bat, Souter with the ball that set the game up for Oval. So I think very happy for 100. I think they found a way, and my only wish is I hope it stays 100 balls. I know it's not a popular opinion, but I want it to stay as 100 balls, and then the IPL can of course come in with their teams and franchise and paisa, but keep it to 100. It'll retain its originality in some sense at least.
Yeah, still early days for the 100, but lots to look forward to, especially if you guys watch the presentation party. Akash Ambani is just having a chat with Tom Curran in terms of what could be. And MI London is a name that has been in the pipeline. There's so many Indian investors now getting their hands in the 100. So I think it's only going to go from strength to strength. And like you said about all Invincibles, I mean, I can't praise them enough. The fact that their bowling unit also looked well-rounded. Someone like Jason Behrendorff, who's been around white ball cricket for a while. Batters, of course, were plying their trade brilliantly, and so much to kind of revel through. The few things I picked up on, Akshay, at least from a RCB perspective, good that Andy Flower lost the final and won the one for us. And 2, Freddie Wild, man. Again, what a story for him, because that coaching staff for Invincibles, Tom Moody, brilliant, messaged him for an exclusive, by the way. He did respond, and I'll tell you what he said off cam. And Freddie Wild doing it 2, 3 months or 4 months ago for RCB, and now doing it for the Oval. So he's having the time of his life being an analyst.
Yeah, I mean, they got it right in 2019, and since then, they've just been in cruise control. This is a side that let go of Klaasen, that's let go of Narayan, and even then, that's not stopped them from winning trophies. So, happy for them, and of course, it's just speaks volumes of how important recruitment is. And you can have the best of players, but if the 11 or the squad that you have is not balanced enough, and of course, like Michael Bhai loves to say, they're not used properly, then yeah, you'll never get the results you desire. So, I mean, it's incredible that we won three in a row, man. Like, had this been a, a low tier league, also, I would have been impressed. The fact that it's something like the 100, where only the top 3 out of 8 teams make it through to the next stage. And out of that, for them to be able to win it thrice in a row, that's just incredible.
Top stuff. Shout out to Sam Billings as well, who I've actually admired as a cricketer, United fan. So props to him. Right, more 100 women's chat on our chess podcast with, of course, Neha, and they'll dive deep into that and pick the bones about that for sure, and probably make best 11s of the competition, so on and so forth. Did you see one could bowl 10 balls in a trot? Yeah, I mean, that's a rule. Essentially, you bowl 2 sets of 5s, or you can bowl 1 set of 5. So I don't know what you're hinting on that there. Any names to watch on the SC20 auctions? We'll answer all these kind of questions in the 12th man section, which we're very, very fastly approaching indeed. Last couple of talking points. I mean, we'll get into the T20 leagues right now briefly, guys, because we've already kind of overshot our time this evening. KPL we kind of spoke about with Shreyas, in case you guys joined us. DPL and UP20, there was something about Rinku Singh and his ballistic six-hitting ability coming to the fore again. But I'm more interested in Akshay of Nitish Rana versus Digvesh Rathi in terms of the explicits used there. What was said? Because apparently this guy said, "Swad aaya kya? Swad aaya kya?"
You know what Virat Kohli told to those spectators at Chepauk way back? That video that you've shown me, Baba. वैसे ही कुछ बकचोदी क्या होगा? But I mean, South Delhi versus West Delhi. Even अगर आप असली दिल्ली में जाओगे, तो it is a fairly common practice. So not surprised something like this happened. But to be honest, it wasn't even that fight that caught my, because that wasn't even much of a fight. That was just more of a something. It was the other fight where Aman, when Aman got, I'm forgetting who the batter was, the left-arm pacer Aman, he got someone out. And boy, they're going at it. And Nitish Rana was the mediator. He was the guy who had to come in and literally drags him by his face. He grabs his face, shuts his mouth, and takes him away. So that was really cool. Cool as in that was something to watch. But I mean, I can't believe that they're really holding, bringing that true Delhiite in them out there for everyone to see. I wish it weren't just as aggressive, because see, I like aggression. I want to see, teams or players really fight it out. But this isn't them being aggressive because they want to win for their side or something like this. This is random aggression, bhai. Wicket liya, like I don't know. Again, maybe I'm very old school, but yeah, it was something to see.
Hilarious. Next, did you observe anything cricket-wise in these leagues which have kind of caught eye?
No, only highlights, unfortunately. I said too occupied with the 100 and other work. But good on Nitish Rana to have a good season. I think he didn't have a good time domestically, and also didn't have a great IPL, except, of course, scoring against Chennai when Ashwin kept bowling on the pads for some reason that only he knows. Sorry, had to get it out in one breath. So happy to see him score, because I do see him being a crucial part of the teams going forward as well. And it is a good story. I mean, Nitish Rana, we've seen enough of him around. Rinku ke liye bhi I'm happy. He has got runs, but I'm still not quite sold on him, because I think he had a few slow starts in this season. I don't know if he can afford that when he plays for India. That is very tricky. And tricky waters that you will not always be able to accelerate when you are playing a higher quality or tougher set of bowlers. But I hope Rinku can take the confidence, because we all want him to play. And when we made our teams, Rinku couldn't feature in them in 3 teams. That tells you how crazy that competition is at this point of time in T20 cricket. So yes, those are the 2 names I'm looking forward to.
Okay. Lots more on cricket.com, by the way, in terms of all the T20 news going about. I think there was an interview that these boys did with Kaushik Vasuki as well. In case you guys really like your domestic cricket, there's plenty of stuff that you can tuck into on cricket.com. Finally, and rest of the rest, let's just, of course, react to the Ral Dravid bit with Rajasthan Royals. Akshay, I'll start with you here. again, did you ever see this happening before the tournament? Lots of things happening with RR these days. I mean, with Sanju, of course, in the news a couple of weeks ago, always talking about Jaiswal and how he could exit the franchise, always a backup option to Parag, who they're kind of building up as a leader. How do you kind of make sense of all of this? Because I tried again today on MNL to get Romy from Rajasthan Royals, but no comments, mate. No comments.
Yeah, definitely now is a time they wouldn't be coming in. But it's sad. I honestly did not see that coming because this was the side that was built by Rahul Dravid. And in general, I'm not a very big fan of making changes to your personnel after right after the auction cycle or the beginning of the auction cycle, because at the like whoever replaces them, even if it's a Sangakkara, like few rumors are saying, or if it's someone else altogether, this is not a code built by that person. It's a core built by Rahul Dravid. So he must have had a certain vision. Now, when you hand this to someone else, they just have to pick the pieces and do something. Like they can only come up with ad hoc arrangements. And there's only so much they can do, which means there'll be a lot more pressure on them to come up with results, despite the very obvious shortcomings that the squad has. So that's why personally not a big fan. And personally, that's why I also believe that Rahul Dravid should have continued because again, the thing is, there's so many reports coming up. One that says that RR actually wanted him. It was Rahul Dravid who decided that he doesn't want this. Like, apparently, RR wanted to give him a much bigger role. Now, I don't know by that, do they mean, is it the kind of promotion that Mahela Jayawardene and Kumar Sangakkara got, director of global cricket or some random shit like that? Which means, were they trying to sort of systematically sideline him, or were they sort of trying to actually give him a much bigger role? No one knows. Apparently, there are rumors coming about that even someone like Vijay Klash Makram is being looked past, that they are looking at new names they're looking at a complete overhaul, basically. And yeah, like you said, with the way the whole captaincy and the seniority debate has gone about with RR, there's Samson, there's Parag, there's Jaiswal. When there's so many ambitions involved, when there's so many ambitious players involved, it's invariably going to lead to a case of there being too many cooks. And we all know what happens when there are too many cooks. And let's just hope that RR somehow are able to come out of this with as few casualties as possible, because the last thing they need is now also letting go or losing out on some of their retentions from last season. Barring Shimran Hetwar, उनको आप हटा सकते हो, बाकी सबको please अभी तो मतलब मत छोड़ो.
Nix, how do you think they've made this decision of obviously ousting Dravid? Do you think Sankara was involved? It starts from the owner Manoj Badali himself. And even though Rahul Dravid has the World Cup in his resume, do you think last IPL he was kind of exposed tactics-wise?
It's very interesting actually in terms of how people look at Dravid, the coach. I don't know what were people thinking when South Africa needed 30 of 30, and if that class and wicket wouldn't have come, maybe we all would have had different views on Rahul Dravid, the T20 coach. So I do agree with Akshay's point about who's made this squad and what they want to do. But to be honest, it's always felt a very, sorry to put it bluntly, very flawed squad in terms of they never really filled what they were missing. And maybe they saw the writing on the wall that it's not happening with multiple coaches now. And it is very funny when Akshay says they have too many cooks, but they let go of Butler. So, I mean, you have to pay if you have so many cooks.
100%.
And I don't know if, there are rumors about, there being a rift. And again, it's very silly to just say it's been a rift between a captain and a coach. And Sanju has on air been very evident and clear about how much he loved working with Rahul Dravid, but sometimes a franchise doesn't always work with two people. There are 100 more things involved, and maybe there are different, I wouldn't say camps, but different ideologies, and they are not quite sure which ideology to go ahead with. And that is something that every franchise struggles with. You have CSK as well in the same boat. You had MI in the same boat a few years ago. So it's fair. It's something that can happen at an org, but I think this could be a very pivotal moment for RR as a team because they have a lot of youngsters, but they still have a core now that they can still work with. But how many of them will they retain? Will Sanju stay? I think that in itself will be an answer for their ideas going forward. Baki, it's very difficult to say who cost whom the job, but I still see Dravid being the coach. Maybe of KKR, who knows?
I think, again, something to consider because how often have we seen in the IPL that it becomes a coach's merry-go-round? One goes here, one comes here, then the other goes here. It's a rotating door game. And again, the bigger question, I think, from a player POV, Sanju or no Sanju. And if they take a decision like no Sanju, then all the eggs are in the Riyan Parag basket. They still have an exuberance of youth in Jaiswal and a lot of cricketers coming through. But time will tell, of course. Freaking awesome saying it seems that many managements are running inside the RR camp. It was very evident on face of Dravid and Sanju during the super over against the Delhi Capitals. And sports fan also contributing in some way or the other, saying all RR is doing for the last couple of years is trying to serve pan parag. If you guys get the pun, you guys get the pun. But obviously, we'll go closer to that auction, the mini auction, understand who will be sitting on that table for RR. They'll make a decision sometime soon. There are not that many really top coaches going around. Who knows? Could be someone like Tom Moody to come and fill the void of Rahul Dravid. But again, you guys can tell us in the comments what you guys think about that. On that note, you can also tell us what you guys think of Akshay's quiz this week, and it revolves around Rahul Dravid. So let's go to Howzzaatt and see what he has for you all this week. Right, Akshay, over to you. Was there any winners last week? Because that's the only thing which really fascinates me from Howzzaatt. People winning your quiz.
Shabash, we have a ritual done by Akshay. Very good. Very proud of you.
Well done. Well
but
done.
how did I
Akshay.
go on mute in between saying something I don't know? Wow. You guys heard me, right? At least in the beginning.
No.
Yes.
Oh, thank God. Wow. Nathan Lyon has bowled, of course, strike 96 deliveries to Cheteshwar Pujara, which is the most by a single spinner to a batter since Pujara's debut, who's the only other spinner to have bowled over 1,000 deliveries as a single batter in Tests since Pujara's debut. I tried to sort of, throw in a red herring by saying it might not be a very obvious name or something, but Nikhil, if you had to go for a very obvious matchup, what would it be? Spinner versus batter, 1,000 balls.
Spinner versus batter, 1,000 balls.
Yeah. Tests. As obvious a matchup as it gets. That's the hint. That's the hint. I want to see if you guys get it. And guys in the live chat, you can also go for it. Like, since no one answered it there. So basically, only one spinner has bowled over 1,000 deliveries to a single batter in Tests since Pujara's debut. We want to know who is the bowler and the batter. If you had to venture a guess, who would it be?
Kohli,
I'm guessing it's from a subcontinental team to
You
a
have to-
Sena
what-
country guy. Sena country.
So, what names? I need names.
Okay, I'm
Jadeja.
going to guess Ashwin to Steve Smith.
Sorry,
Sorry?
I didn't hear both. What did you say?
He said Ashwin to Steve Smith. I'm saying Jadeja to Joe Root.
Oh, it is Ashwin to Steve Smith. So again,
Yeah.
it would have either been your number one or your number two guess. Santosh, you got it close, but like Avni says, close but no cigar. Ashutosh Tendulkar hardly played, and Bonto did not even play after Pujara's debut. We were strictly talking about after Pujara's debut because he announced his retirement last week. Yes. Coming to this week's Howzzaatt though, while Rahul Dravid has been in the news for quitting as RR's head coach, a lesser known fact about him is that he's only one of 6 Indians to have featured in the Indian Premier League as both player and coach. And of course, we've only considered head coaches over here. I don't want to bowling coach, batting coach, mentor, ये सब वो सब नहीं करना था. Only talking about head coaches over here. So once again, while Rahul Dravid has been in the news for quitting as RR's head coach, a lesser known fact about him is that he's one of only 6 Indians to have featured in the Indian Premier League as both player and coach. Who are the rest? Of course, Rahul Dravid is one of the 6. Who are the other 5 names? That's the question for today. Let's see who gets it right. And of course, like always, please wait for the live stream to end. Do not enter your answers in the live chat over here. Wait for the live stream to end. Key in your answers in the main comment section, and let's see who will be the lucky winner this time around.
Can I give them one, or can I ask you one out loud? Zahir Khan counts as one.
Let us save it for next week. मतलब अभी सब बोल के let us save it for next week. It'll also give you enough time to sort of marinate the answers and sleep over it, think over it. Okay.
Kumbli, Gambhir, Ganguly, I don't know.
So,
I'm just
I
guessing
can at
names.
least
I'm guessing names. It could be
I
many.
can confidently say at least one of them is wrong. So, Baki, we'll go to the next segment and wrap today's episode up.
Yes, for sure. So just to throw you guys off, I mean, you guys can let us know, but a good how's that from Akshay? And let's move on to 12th man then to wrap up proceedings, like he said. Oh, sorry. There's what to watch this week, which we didn't show, but now that the graphic has come up magically through the producer, this is what we just want to show you. Lots of international cricket, of course. And in case you guys want the CPL, that's also happening, but that's weird, ungodly hours at 4:30 in the morning. But whatever fixes your cricket dosage, do it. But let's move on to 12th man then and take your question. Right. So many were appreciative of Nitish Rana under his management post, including Phil Salt. I don't know what this post was about, Santosh, but do enlighten me and tell me in the particular
you should
chat.
check.
I
You
should
should
check. I
check
should check.
the post.
Let's check.
Yes, please. Worth
I'll
it.
check it myself then. Santosh has another one saying any names to watch out for on the SA20 auctions. I mean, do you guys
Plenty.
have anything which comes up to your mind? Like?
Then Jordan Cox, Jaden Sales, people who are informed right now. So I think these are the two names. Of course, I would love if Tauriz Vita is picked, but I don't see that happening. But there is Jason Ra, who I always feel can do well in South Africa. So I think more than 500 people have registered. Now, there aren't that many spots. So I think it's going to be very specific and very targeted. But these are the two names that I'm very, very keen to see. Who picks Jordan Cox and who picks Jared Six. There is Cohen as well. There is, of course, Brevis, who I hope goes to yellow, but I'm not saying anything.
Okay, interesting. We have one, I think this is good for Akshay answer from Daniel Matthews. Can you guys explain why women's cricketers are allowed to play in franchise leagues, but the male cricketers aren't?
I mean, as the brand, as the product in men's cricket, the Indian team is a lot more valuable, to international cricket in general. So BCCI wants to ensure that they maintain the exclusivity to get or to maximize the revenue potential of IPL. That's not the case with WPL. With say women's cricket, Australia is that nation. Australian cricketers are the cream de la cream of world cricket. So which means India has to work its way up to sort of get there. Maybe, in 10, 15, 20 years, should the Indian team get just as good, and if BCCI feels that, we've developed enough of a talent pool of our own, then you could see BCCI also going the men's route. But right now, it's also basically, they also want to build the talent pool, which means it is important they get these opportunities and all of it. So, that's essentially it.
Okay. More questions for Akshay with regards to the women's side of things. And you can, of course, go badger him on his own podcast as well. But because it's an MNL comment from sports fan Akshay, Davina Perrin. I mean, she looks the part and she plays the part. How big is this girl and talent going to be, man?
Oh, she's definitely, the next big thing from England women, from English women's cricket. That though goes without saying, and even world cricket for the most part. Just fantastic to watch. A name that Neha and I had spoken about in detail during our tournament preview itself. There was a name that Ebony Rainsford herself could not stop gushing about. All of us were excited, and you could see why. Started off great, then had a middling end to the group stage, but the way she lit up the final, oh my goodness, some of those shots. Oh, there was this shot that she played down the ground. I'm like, how on earth is she just 18? So, yeah, she's there. There's Georgia Ball that comes from her. There's a lot of these talents coming up, but she's definitely right up there in terms of talents to watch out for.
Interesting. And brilliant stuff from her, honestly, in the 100. Go check out that highlight package if you guys can. Chandran Amaya, Nix, again, asking us something hypothetical, going on to say, I do not see KL leaving Delhi Capitals soon. Does this mean he might be made skipper the next season?
There are reports. It's good for Aksar. Honestly, anybody else can be captain at this point of time. I think Aksar's bowling also took a lot of dip. I don't see that being talked about too much. He took only 5 wickets, and I understand Viparaj's emergence and Kuldeep's good form meant that nobody spoke too much about it. But I think Aksar, as these are very crucial times for Aksar as a bowler as well, because the competition is only going to increase for India in the shorter format with Sundar, Rian, and if Viparaj comes into the national setup, you don't want to end up being Jadeja and being stuck. So I won't be surprised if KL is the captain. But he said no. I would hope it is a no and he stays as a non-captain because I think there are enough things that others can do.
I mean, I think Neural Hacks with Vasant also was kind of asking Akshay about the similar news about trade rumors, DC to KKR, Akshay, KL. I mean, KL in all likelihood would probably suit KKR at this point in time, but I don't see that's happening. He can't just be a plug and play for DC for 1 year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if that happens. Although, I mean, I can see why KKR would approach DC, but DC would have to be really tough to let go of him, especially at that price point and the way KL has sort of, turned a new leaf in the last year or so. He's clearly definitely a player who's sort of going to reach a new peak now going forward. So definitely, DC, come on. Don't be your usual self.
See, that is the challenge. Can DC not be DC? That's how it is.
DC, let's see how that moves forward. Last couple of things, and then we'll end MNL. Aditya Bhatt, good to see you in the chat as always. Randomly saying, I think adhering to the Asia Cup news, Sky playing outside India would help him, especially because he's a single format player. And freaking awesome, the last question of the first pan we'll take from you, sir, because you go on to say the venues have been announced for the 2027 ODI World Cup, but still venues have not been confirmed for the 2026 T20 International World Cup. Why is it so? And why are we delaying everything?
2026 bhai. Forget 2026 वर्ल्ड कप का वेन्यू 2025 के वर्ल्ड कप का टिकट्स नहीं मिला अब तक भाई साहब. Freaking awesome, we are long way off.
Less than a month away. I don't know what I'm really tired. Like I don't want I'm just now tired of talking about it and cribbing about it.
Yeah, I think freaking awesome. You've pressed the wrong key here because it really irks both the panelists and rightly so. I mean, Indian fans watching this as well have kind of bared the brunt in terms of how it kind of works for us here compared to other countries. But look, on that bickerish note, we'll end episode 95 Monday Night Live. Akshay, welcome back to Bangalore. Thank you for your time tonight. Nikhil, great to have you always, and good to have Shreyas Gopal on, to be fair. Just another cricketing mind under this vast umbrella to just give us insights and stories about the game we love the most. On that note, thank you so much for watching MNL. If you guys have just tuned in, smash a like, tell a friend about this podcast. Listen to it on Spotify if you guys like that. There's a lot of things coming out on cricket.com this week. Akshay's podcast will be out. There might be a beta coming in the wings. And this weekend, I think Wayne Parnell spoke to me 2 weeks ago. So that's going to be coming out as an exclusive on Sunday. So hit subscribe if you're new, like this video, and greater things happen. September has arrived, and that's a great month. Trust me, guys. Cheers. We'll leave it there.